Hi everyone, Daniel Linder here, marriage family therapist in private practice in the San Francisco Bay Area for over 30 years. I'm an addiction specialist and a relationship trainer. And I created the relationship model of addiction. And I'm going to be talking to you more about that. I started kind of getting into it a few weeks ago, talking about affairs and leading into this paradigm shift from the disease concept to the relationship model of addiction. The paradigm shift is a new way, what I think is modernized, more effective, more right on in terms of understanding and treating addiction as it is not a disease, but as a relationship. So what I've done in the relationship model of addiction is I've defined addiction, talked about the causes of addiction, talked about the predisposing conditions, and today I want to get into the stages of recovery. Those are the treatment implications and the recovery implications. So just a little review so you really get this, and repetition is usually a good thing to let it sink in. The definition of a disease, of addiction. An addiction is a relationship with the means of relief that's of pain from unmet emotional needs. So again, it's a relationship. And it's a relationship that you become involved in that becomes overpowering, all-consuming. It's akin to a secret love affair where there's secrecy, there's excitement, there's relief, there's something very compelling and powerful drawing you into the relationship that is life-changing, and it becomes a primary relationship. The key is this is the most important relationship in your life, and all others pale in comparison. And you cannot really get into other intimate relationships or any relationship. All other relationships are secondary. So addiction is a relationship with the means of relief. We talked about the means. For example, those could be chemicals, mind and mood altering chemicals. It could be porn images. It could be sex. It could be food. It could be people. It could be, people in terms of codependency, people who you relate to and get in relationships with for the purpose of relieving pain, for escape, to get whatever unmet emotional needs are there, and the pain of that, get those needs met. So those are the means. And the relief is, again, of pain that's emotional in nature. It's not a physical pain that we're talking about. So I'm shifting, in this paradigm shift, we're getting away from the physical and medical aspects of it. We're not putting so much attention on the genetics and the biochemistry and the behavioral aspects, but really emphasizing the mental, emotional, psychological, and relationship aspects. So with that, that's a definition. The cause. What is the cause of addiction? The cause of addiction are relationships that fail to provide what you need emotionally. We could sum up all your emotional needs as a need to love, and in terms of addiction and what happens when the need is denied, there's pain, and then wherever there's pain, there's a need to relieve that pain. So the cause of addiction are relationships that fail to provide what you need emotionally and leave a residue of pain that builds up over time that makes you need to relieve that pain by whatever means necessary. There's a desperation. That is the underlying driving force of addiction. Predisposing conditions. The predisposition to become addicted depends on the amount of pain that is built up inside of you. The more pain, the more predisposed you are. So it's as simple as that. It's not scientific per se, because you can't measure the amount of pain that there is. It's subjective. It varies from person to person. But at some point, it reaches unbearable levels, and your whole life, your energy, your attention, you're driven to seek relief for that. So that's basically it. Redefining the causes of addiction, the predisposition. Now, I want to talk to you about the stages of recovery, the 3 stages of recovery, and this is treatment implications I'm talking about right now. So The first stage of recovery, this is for every person, whether every person in recovery, whether you're talking about whether you're coming from the disease concept or the medical model, or whether it's the relationship model, whatever model of treatment or recovery that you're talking about, they all begin with a period of sustained stabilization or sobriety or abstinence. And this is a period where what I call breaking up. This is a relationship that's unhealthy, that wreaks havoc in your life, that it's destructive and makes it impossible for you to have emotionally nourishing relationships. So you're breaking up. This first stage of sobriety and stabilization is about living life for maybe the first time in years, living without resorting to that addiction and living without that means of relief, which is a tremendous adjustment. You can't underestimate it. So this requires rigorous adherence to a program that's daily, where you're doing something every day for a period of time that brings attention on your feelings, on your struggles, and puts you in contact with other people for support. This involves what you need, the program that needs to be rigorously adhered to is a daily program where you have to have therapy stations incorporated into your everyday life. And they could be either attending meetings or talking to people about what your struggles are and what your goals are and what you're trying to do in your life right now, or reading or meditating or writing or doing something healthy for yourself. That's what this period's about. It's daily practice, getting support, and being involved in what it feels like to go through this adjustment from breaking up. You're breaking up with your secret lover, you're breaking up with that relationship. And it is ice-breaking. It just is really, really hard for a lot of people. There are a lot of relapses, and your ability to do this really depends on that rigorous adherence to your daily program. If you don't have one or you're not consistent with it, you're going to be at much greater risk of relapse, and you won't be able to sustain your sobriety. Okay, so then as you're doing that, you're, again, this is a whole new life, learning to live without this relationship after the breaking up period. Also want to talk to you briefly about this other thing, this other kind of rule of thumb guideline that I'm sure you've heard about, and if not, you're going to hear about it now, which is the rule of thumb guideline is about not getting involved in sexually intimate relationships during the first year of recovery. Why is that? Because when you get involved in sexually intimate relationships, you're you're at risk for being triggered, because feelings are going to come up. You're raw to begin with, because you're not with that relationship, or you're trying to break up, which is from a relationship that you're relying on for relief to feel better. And so while you're going through that, you don't really have the skills and the life changes and the relationship changes that you need that support recovery. So when you hit bumps and feelings come up and pain comes up or whatever cravings come up, you're going to be looking towards a relationship naturally. You look externally for relief, to feel better, for validation, for whatever emotional needs you're trying to get met, and then you're back into an addiction. When you start using the relationship to make you feel better, you're not in your recovery, you're back in your addiction. So this is what no intimate relationships during the first year of recovery is about. Now, many of you are already married or in relationships, so the implication there is not to break up, but to include your partner, your significant relationships, in the process of your recovery, so you could support each other and adjust and transition together. Because if you're moving along and your partner is remaining the same, you're going to be stuck. You're going to fall back into your addiction. Okay. So sustained stabilization. Then once you will have your feet on the ground and you're able to live and you're able to sustain sobriety and stabilization, then you go into a period of intensive self-work. This is about developing a relationship with yourself. Throughout your life and throughout all your addiction years, your energy, the way that you lived, the way that you related was about not feeling your feelings, disconnecting, feeling better than what you're feeling. And it was defensive and disconnecting in nature. And so most people don't have a relationship with themselves who are starting in recovery, have spent their life not feeling their feelings, so they don't really know who they are, what they're feeling, what they're thinking. So this period of self-work and building a relationship with yourself is about being aware, becoming more aware and emotionally tuned in to what's going on inside of you, so that you know what you're thinking, feeling, wanting, or needing pretty much at any given point in time. And whenever you're relating, you want to put that out so you could be seen, you could be heard, you could be known, you could be felt. This is you. You want to bring yourself out. And this takes time because it's going to be all new. So that's the second stage of recovery, self-work. Now this is leading to, you heard me talk about this before, about how I define relationships. And remember, any healthy, emotionally intimate relationship consists of, this is a definition of relationship, consists of two separate autonomous entities, two separate selves who meet and connect. Me and you connect through understanding, through an exchange of energy, and make an us. But if there's no me, there's not going to be a you, and there's not going to be an us. So once you go through this period of intensive self-work and have built a relationship up with yourself, then you can go out in the world and create intimate relationships in your life, and how to do that. So this third stage of recovery is about gaining the experience and skills and understanding necessary to that will empower you to create healthy, emotionally nourishing relationships. It's the art of intimacy. It takes training. We don't learn this growing up. We don't have role models. We don't have the experience. So this is part of the recovery program, is learning this. And this is what I'm going to be doing as well. There's a lot to teach you about the basic principles and skills that you need in order to create emotionally nourishing relationships. So this is it. The 3 stages of recovery. I hope that you could use this. Feel free, if you have any questions, please ask them. I'll answer them here. And until I see you again next week, the quality of your relationships is the quality of